Other stations hit hard, but we hit the hardest. You know you'll make me wanna slide in here. We're WSOU in South Orange, and we're in your face.
So it's time to take a break from posting a lot of gaming stuff, although I'm trying to keep it varied. But I do want to get back to posting some audio equipment items, and this is one of my most precious components in this system, and it is the Sony, and it is a compact disc Minidisc deck, model number MXD D5C. But what is really cool about it is not only is it a CD player like that, but this is a little different because that's an SACD player and changer. This one is just a regular CD player, but it's a changer also. In addition, it is a Minidisc player, which I thought was really, really cool. I actually found this on Facebook Marketplace local, and I have a story behind this, which actually makes it quite poignant. I think you'd be interested in it, but stay tuned into the story and how I use this. But let's go over what it actually is. This is on this side of the deck, it's a 5-disc CD changer, and then you can change the actual CDs that are playing. There's none loaded in here, and there's lights that show up here, LEDs that show up when there's a disc loaded. And I'm going to load up Iron Maiden in here, the live album. Maybe I won't get a component strike. I'll play a little for you, but I'll show you how that loads and unloads. And then this is the controls basically for the CD side. Everything from this point on is the Minidisc side, basically, and all the controls for the Minidiscs. And you have the Sony famous automatic music selection knobs, which you can choose. You don't use the buttons here to choose the next song or last song, for example. It really does this little click button here on either side. And actually, I've been using it a lot here to actually edit the mini discs. And what mini discs are these. These are mini discs, and dropped it. These are mini discs, which are basically little rewritable CDs, if you will, read-writable CDs. It's actually pretty neat what they are. They can do slightly compressed. Some people argue that that's why they didn't take off, because these are compressed. They used a 8-track format, proprietary compression that Sony developed, which arguably is actually pretty good compression, right? It's not too bad, but it's nice because it's random access like a CD, so you can jump to tracks, but it's read writable, right? Like a CDR, it's in a protected case. It's smaller than a CD, for example. Here's an example, of how much smaller it is, right? Here's a CD case, and you can edit it much like a hard drive, a little hard drive, a little random access hard drive, which is pretty neat. But it was expensive. And just like any other thing that is on the market, if it's too expensive, not a lot of people are going to buy it. And that's a big reason why CDs really kind of took off, because it was price effective. Just like buying all the stuff that I have here. I didn't buy it new. I kind of got everything on a discount, refurbished it, and cleaned it up. Now, with this, when I bought it, the person had no idea if it was working or not, and it was kind of bought at a risk. I think I bought it for like $75, maybe $100. I don't remember. It was years ago, but it wasn't a lot of money. And I plugged it in, and everything seemed to work. What I did was I just put new belts in for the loading mechanisms. There's 2 belts, one for each side. Actually, I think this side is 3. And there are service manuals for this online on. I'll show you the website where you can download them all. But it's great. You could see what belts need to be replaced. I replaced the loading mechanism belts on both sides just to be proactive. They worked. They, after all these years, I don't know if the service was ever done, but they did not disintegrate. They were still okay, probably a little stretched out. So I put new ones in there just to be safe. And on especially this mechanism, not so much this one, but this mechanism, I just put some more additional white grease. I put white lithium grease on all the changer mechanisms because they all slide against each other and ratchet and et cetera, so forth. So, and it worked before, but it works even better now. I'll show you when you turn it off. And it tells you a little goodbye. And the reason why is if you're editing or recording anything on the Minidisc side, the issue is the computer in here that controls the Minidisc has to write any changes that it has in memory, or as it buffered up and queued up, has to write it to the disk, and then it turns itself off. So actually everything in this rack that I have here is turned off by basically a power center HTS 3500. So basically, if I turn off the preamp turns off some things, and the power center basically turns everything else off, right? And this is the only thing that's plugged in directly to the wall, because if I was doing something that was editing, for example, I don't want the power getting turned off on this before I had a chance to write, for example, its index file, or what it calls its table of contents, back to the Minidisc. So what the first thing I do is I turn it on, and I'll initialize. And now you can see there's nothing in either side, right? Now, let me get to the story side. When this was I don't know, probably only about a few years ago, and I'm definitely Gen X. I was born in the early 70s, I grew up in the 80s, and basically party with my friends in the 90s. And I would maintain it's a whole story where it was the greatest time to really grow up, to be honest with you. And we had a station here in the New York tri-state area called WSOU, and it was out of South Orange, New Jersey, and it was out of Seton Hall University. And what they did at night, especially on the weekends, was they played all more of the obscure, non-mainstream, non-pop metal, hard rock and heavy metal music. And it was great. It was a staple here, especially in New Jersey in the 80s, where, I was a little younger than the advent of what we used to call the metal militia, which was like, Metallica and, the Slayer, the whole area. They would tour in this area before they were big in the central New Jersey area. I was a little young for that, but I definitely liked the music, but a little young to be going to the actual concerts themselves. But WSOU would play all that music, including some of the more obscure stuff. So I found, and let me pan this up a little, I found my old cassettes, which I downloaded music to, which I recorded music to off of my boombox. And I recorded about 3 or 4 tapes off of the radio, right, on Fridays, Saturday nights, where they played, the blocks of music. And basically, I found them again 30-something years later. 30-something? Yeah, 30-something years later, I found it. So you're talking about between the years of 86, 87 to about the early 90s. I had a bunch of tapes that I made, and I would play them at night, or I'd play them when I hang out with my friends when the music station wasn't playing its block of music. Because believe it or not, that station played mostly NCAA sports, and they played, believe it or not, Catholic, because Seton Hall is a Catholic university. They played Catholic Christian programming. And then when the night rolled around, then they started playing heavy metal, which I thought was hilarious, and thrash metal. So I'll give you an example. This is one of the tapes that I transcribed, and WSOU. I cut this off a little close here, with tape A, basically. And it was 2 sides, and you'll see it load. So it's great because I actually remember just these tapes in general, like the song for song, but it's great just hearing, this radio stations of when I was a kid. I could only imagine what it would be like to hear something like this for a prior generation, for a boomer generation, listening to radios from 50s and 60s, for example, when radio, and 40s, when radio was the primary media consumption device, and not having that around anymore. I would argue that there is more archive footage of the radio era than there is from the 80s and 90s, because that's when radio was really kind of falling off. So it wasn't as popular as before. It still was popular, don't get me wrong, but definitely more popular than it is today, right? So use the knob here. I'll go to 2 and I'll play, and you'll hear the beginning of the intro, and I think I might play it again in this video.
Yeah, the madman is back. This is Paul Scaff, the Scaff from WSOU in South Orange. Oh, it's been a rough week, hasn't it? I know. So you need your Night Ranger plate rough.
Now I put song breaks in here, so I'll fast forward to another song.
You're tuned to 89.5 FM with the largest collection of the hardest rock. On WSOU. New Jersey's hardest rock.
So it's pretty neat. It just warms my heart hearing, some of these intros from the radio from when I was a kid again. And now I took it off of analog tape, right, which arguably is a little bit more. I'm concerned about it getting more distorted or more destroyed. But frankly, for 30 years on cheap tapes, because the tapes that I had were not good tapes at all, because I really just couldn't afford any good tapes. And I'm just surprised I had Max L tapes, to be honest with you, and they weren't, the tapes that you would buy, at the dollar store, which we did a lot. But now I preserved them on Minidisc, which is digital, and I'd actually want to actually upload some of these to YouTube for archive purposes. Hopefully a lot of people who were DJing, which were students at Seton Hall, would actually hear this, and they would have fun hearing a lot of their intros in here also. So, hey, if you know some of the people doing these intros, that'd be great, from the late 80s all the way to the early 90s. All right. So let's talk about the CDs section. So the way this works, and you can choose your CDs from 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, for example. You would choose it this way. You could program to rotate through all of the CDs, or just repeat on one CD, for example. You can program actually tracks and discs if you really want to get detailed on that. And then the same thing you would do here. You can pick what track you have here. Although this is only a single disc, this has 5, for example. And you can have your headphones out. For example, you have a IR receiver, because I happen to have, and I bought this, it didn't come with it, I bought this secondhand, I have the remote control for it, which is neat. This is, CD, Minidisc, remote control. And it has all these functions, basically, and with a little switch on top, so you could choose from either or. And by the way, it was pretty neat, because I actually lost Verizon Fios for a day, the ONT, which is the box that actually terminates the fiber that comes into your house and translates it to Ethernet and twisted pair, and goes into your back router. Well, that actually went down. It actually was over. It was very old. In fact, the tech that came, he was like, it's amazing it's still working, because it's one of the original ONTs that Verizon rolled out, good got to be at least 15, maybe 17 years ago. So we put a new one in, but the point is, for a day and a half, we had no Wi-Fi, so I can only do stuff on my phone off of cellular, and I don't have a great cellular signal here where I live. But I could listen to all my analog stuff, CDs, and they all sounded great. So if I hit disc 1, and there's an eject button, and there's a disc button, you can see the light turns on, pops a little disc out. Put your disc in, and you hit the button, or you can give it a little push. It's going to read the table of contents off the CD. You should see one CD, 12 tracks in the total time, which is 70 minutes, 33 seconds. And the Minidisc is the second line below, which is 19 tracks, because I took the tape and I just put in tracks all throughout the Minidisc. What they call it, you divide it. It comes out as one long on the Minidisc, one long take, kind of like an analog, and I just divide it up between songs. And so there's 19 songs on this one Minidisc. And here you have the controls, which is play, pause, stop. This is scrub forward, scrub backward, scrub forward, and then you can record. And here you can choose record mode, which is long play 4, long play 2, stereo and mono, although most stereo is the one that has the least compression. Mono, I'm not really sure. I never used mono, but stereo is what you want anyway for left and right tracks. And then you have the long play 2 and long play 4, which are heavily compressed. That's more for recording spoken word, for example. You could sleep mode, choose what your inputs are. So you actually have on the back of this, and this leads me to the issue that I have with this specific deck. And there are other decks that are actually better, one notch better than this. There is audio out and audio in. Audio analog out and audio analog in. So 4 RCA jacks, in and out, left and right, left and right. There is a Toslink, which is optical, right? Toslink input, digital input, and you could choose that here as your input. So if you can see, it says analog. If I choose it, you can tape or record to your Minidisc from CD to Minidisc. If you hit it again, it'll say optical. So Toslink, and of course I was doing it from the cassette over here, so I have it set to analog, right? But there is no analog out, not this version. There is a version that has an analog out, so I can play it to like Bifrost, for example, DAC, right, and bypass the DAC that is in here. Although the DAC in here is not so bad, to be honest with you. It actually sounds pretty good. And then you could choose if you want to play record from CD to Minidisc. You want to do a normal, or you could do it at a high speed. Now, since it's digital, the high-speed dubbing or high-speed recording is actually really, really good. It's all digital. I think it's at double speed, which is neat. It's not like high-speed recording for like a cassette, and then it's going to be less quality. And of course, you get the same controls. Play, pause, stop, scrub, reverse, scrub forward. This is how you could record and throw it over to the side, to this side, which is the main disc. You could choose next track or previous track. It's also a push button, just like on that side. And then here you could play the CD play modes, what the times are, and you could choose the displays. These are different type of displays that you want. You could choose the name. So now I'm showing, for example, all the songs on the it was showing all the songs here on the Minidisc. If I hit it again, it's showing both. Top, and the top is CD, bottom is Minidisc, is CD, Minidisc. Here I'm showing just the CD. Here I'm showing just the Minidisc. Here I'm showing both. So that's pretty neat. And then you have a headphone out, which I might use because when I digitize these Minidiscs from, like I said, the radio station WSOU. So let's play it. If I hit play now, it's on disc 1. That's the one that's loaded and choose, or I could just hit this. So if I just hit that, you can see it's got a little indicator. And it'll start playing, which is neat. So let me fast forward. So fast forward, you turn this. So sounds pretty good, right? pause, just like, and the same thing as the Minidisc. Scrub forward. So I can scrub forward. And when I'm done, you can hit the eject button. And there you go. And this is one of 5. You can have 5 other discs in here and be playing it, which is neat. Now, see, it won't. Oh, all right. Oh no, it does. All right, this push. I didn't want to force it, but it does. If you push it, like most CD doors, it'll pull itself in. All right. So pretty neat. If you find one of these, they seem to be pretty robust. They don't seem to certainly the CD side is not prone to failure. Now, anything that's Sony with Minidisc mechanism for the ejecting and inserting and positioning the Minidisc might need a little bit of TLC and adjustment, because it's made of a very fine metal. I think this one's the plastic version, which is the later one, and that was in the 90s. I know the early ones were fine stamped sheet metal, and those can actually bend a little and throw the the registration of the micro switches off a little bit. So other than that, they seem to be pretty good. There's a lot of videos on how to fix the Minidisc mechanisms. There's only like 2 or 3 versions of that. So I hope you found that interesting. Let's see. Let's go to Minidisc. Let's see if I have a song here for you. But I hope you found that interesting down my memory lane.
Got some new music from this band called Drive. This one's The Entity.